Here we have a pre-owned 2017 Toyota Corolla. And this one comes in the SE trim level in the beautiful galactic aqua. And then we have black sport cloth interior. And our powertrain consists of a 1.8 liter naturally aspirated inline 4 engine, mated with a continuously variable transmission. And that gets us 132 horsepower, 128 pound-feet of torque. So coming around to the front end here, really like the overall styling of this Corolla. This is probably one of my favorites even today. I just love how sporty it looks. And we have our LED headlights there. And we have LED daytime running lights as well. But love how they kept all this gloss black. And this one has a little over 100,000 miles. And you can see the rock chips there just from the road, but for the most part it's held up pretty nicely. And of course the paint on these tend to start fading and have a little bit going on there, but for a 100,000 plus mile car, excuse me, definitely not bad shape at all. And coming down to these wheels here, these are going to be 17-inch aluminum wheels. Really like the look of those. You can see we have a little bit of fading here on the trim of the doors. But for the most part, that's held up nicely as well. Now to the door panel here, we do have power windows and one-touch auto up and down for the driver's side. And then I like this blue trim that goes across here. Makes it look really, really nice. Then we have a cup holder in there, little storage there, power door locks here, and then window lock there. And our power mirror controls are going to be right there. And then to pop the trunk, pull that, and then to pop the gas cap, pull that. And there is our driver's seat. So that's gonna be manual, so we can do the seat back here. We can pump up or pump down the seat bottom here. And then we can adjust the seat cushion back and forth there. But I really like how we have the cloth insert here, and then we have the leatherette bolster around the entire seat. Really nice look. Now I'm interested to see about this leg room. So that's interesting. I'm 6'3", and my head has about half an inch of headroom, but my legs are not touching the back of this seat at all. And that's my driving position in a car like this, so I'm quite impressed. Cup holders there. Very interesting how that works. And then we just have the pocket behind the seat. And then two more cup holders here. And then we have grab bars on all four doors. And you can also double this as a clothes hanger. And there's our gas tank there. There's the cap for that. But it's looking like, other than the front end, for the most part, the paint has held up very nicely. And there's our trunk space. And what this is doing out here. There's our spare underneath the mat. And actually pretty ample trunk size for such a small vehicle. And I will have to double check how I have that front seat adjusted. There's the exhaust there. I'm gonna get one more close-up of the back for you all. But in the Corolla Cross, I had no room. I reviewed a 22 one of those here recently, and I could not fit in that back seat. And if you want to fold down this seat, there it is. Got to pull up this here. Ugh. Then these will fold flat. Then you have one over there as well. They kind of put it where they could fit it. And then here we have our front passenger seat. And I will say, I feel like this car was kept in pretty good shape to have over 100,000 miles on it, because it still has the owner's manuals. Not much needed to be done to it for Chevy of Murfreesboro to resell it, and a big shout out to them for allowing me to review this today. But just really, you have a few stains, things of that nature, but nothing that's unexpected from a vehicle like this with this many miles. And it's mostly covered up there, but there's that 1.8 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine. But now let's go ahead and hop in the driver's seat here. I've had this back on my shoulder for the longest. I don't know why I did that, but nice leather wrap steering wheel here. And I feel like this is how you're supposed to drive a Corolla. I don't know why, but you can see my knees are actually behind the steering wheel, which probably allowed for the seat to be up as far as it is. Let me see how much further it'll go back. And that's actually as far back as it goes. So that's probably why it's back there. I mean, this is an okay driving position. My legs are a little long, so I'd like to have a couple more inches of space, but for the most part, not bad. And I have about 2 inches of headroom. So not bad for this kind of vehicle. Now over here to the radio, we do have AM, FM, and XM radio. Excuse me, Bluetooth audio, and then we have an aux input too. And I'll test out the sound system for you all. So the sound system itself is actually pretty decent. I think a lot of that has to do because the speakers don't have to travel that far, and you do have the tweeters in the door, which were really doing their thing there. The highs sounded really, really clear, and they were really in your face. And the speakers do not sound cheap at all. And that says a lot for them to have held up as long as they have too. They don't sound blown or anything like that. But in the setup, there's not much you can do with the radio here, but you do have different options in terms of setting everything up. But mostly from the audio, you just change your source, and then depending on where you are, you can kind of like fool with the tracks and seek and all that. And there's our car set up there. It'll track your trips for the most part, average speed and all that. There's our backup camera. And then we do have single zone automatic climate control, so we can adjust temperature here, and then we can adjust where it's going, where the airflow is, and then fan speed here, and then auto mode you can toggle there. And then to turn the auto mode off, you just toggle the fan speed. And down here you have a 12 volt, and then your USB and aux input are there. Little storage here, you could put your phone there if you want to. And then for our shifter, you just hit the brake, pull down, reverse, neutral, drive, and then manually you can shift there, the revs, or you can use the paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. And then you have traction control here, sport mode, you can toggle that here. And it'll show you on the gauge cluster when you turn it on and off. And then our parking brake, just pull that up and then hit the button, pull down. Cup holders there. Tiny center console cubby space there, still usable. There's one more look at the back. I find these AC vents pretty interesting on the corners here. Then you have the ones in the middle that seem more usable, in my opinion. But there's our glove compartment. Owner's manuals are still in this one, like I said. And it's actually a pretty nice size glove compartment here. Now back to the steering wheel, we can adjust our track list or radio station presets here. We have Bluetooth controls there, volume controls here, and then we have our modes that we can toggle through, whether it's AM, FM, or Bluetooth. And then we also have our voice recognition button there. Now to the right side of the steering wheel, we can use these 4 arrows as well as this little center button here to go through our gauge cluster. There's a lot going on there. That's my favorite mode there. And then I like to use the eco indicator as well. And then we can toggle our trips at the bottom of the gauge cluster or our odometer. And this is the back button for the gauge cluster. And then we have lane departure as well as our gap adjust for the radar cruise control, which we can toggle here. And then you can hold it to just go to regular cruise control. And then of course set, resume, or speed up there. Headlamp controls, we do have an auto mode, corner lights, and then headlamps, blinkers there. And then over here we have our windshield wiper controls, so we can do intermittent, low, high, and then we can one touch and pull up for mist. And then finally, we have our key there. But next it's time to go ahead and take this 2017 Toyota Corolla SE out on the road for a quick test drive. So for the most part, the powertrain is holding up normally. There's something going on with the front suspension here, so I don't know if maybe it's a wheel bearing, an axle, maybe it's out of balance, I don't know, but it is pulling to the right, and it sounds like something that needs to be repaired. But listen, it didn't do it that time. When I hit the speed bumps, it made a kind of creaking noise. But pretty decent power, in my opinion. And we have the radar cruise on now, and it actually does not seem to be getting a lot of play just coming down the interstate here, so that's impressive. And you can see I'm doing 75 and keeping that safe distance between myself and then the vehicle in front of me. And then it slows down to keep that distance. And this is just set at the first setting. and then as the vehicle in front of me speeds up, I'll start to speed up to also keep that same distance. But it's pretty windy out today, and surprisingly, wind noise is not that terrible in here. So I've put it in the sport mode, and then I've also put it into the manual mode. Now the CVT revs are actually very, very responsive. Like very responsive. They're actually really fun. Because even like vehicles these days with traditional transmissions, they don't even let you shift that quickly. So say what you will, because it's not an actual shift, but I appreciate it. And this will take first quote unquote gear pretty much. The first gear lets you get all the way up to 50, around that area, before redlining. So that is interesting to me. But yeah, the paddle shifters are very responsive. And I also feel all of that 128 pound-feet of torque as well when I do put my foot into it. I'll take the sport mode off for the rest of the test drive. And of course, you're going to get your fuel mileage close to getting 40 if you want to miles per gallon. You got to be in automatic mode without the sport on, and then you can get that eco mode to come on pretty easily, especially cruising down this back road here. Getting pretty good fuel economy. But all in all, like I said, this thing seems to have held up pretty well. It was maintained pretty nicely from what I could tell. I don't know about oil changes and all of that, but it's driving pretty normally, and the suspension issue I was having from the front at the beginning has kind of gone away, so it might be where the car was sitting for a minute through different temperatures. I don't know. But all in all, you can get this, I think, for under $15,000, so really impressive. It's a 17 with all the technology features you want, but the reliability of a typical Toyota. And with all that being said, this is going to bring me to an end of my review of the 2017 Corolla SE.